I'm Dan Hunt, and this is Up Close and Personal. We are live from World CryptoCon 2019 in Las Vegas, Nevada, the Cosmopolitan Hotel. Now, Up Close and Personal is brought to you this year by Dunamis Global Tech, who is powered to pay. My guest right now is Michael Moro. He's the CEO of Genesis. Michael, thank you so much for being here with us today.
Thanks for having me.
So, Michael, before we get into what Genesis is, let's talk a little bit about you. Now, you grew up, or you were born in Tokyo.
Yes.
But really, you grew up in New York City.
I did.
Tell me what it was like being a young kid going from one culture to a very, very different culture.
You're right. So I finished second grade in Tokyo.
Okay.
And my father's job, which was in the automotive industry at the time, this is the mid-'80s, when kind of Japanese cars were really starting to take off in America.
Right.
And he had a company in Tokyo. His boss asked him to set up an office in New York. And so he left for a few months to go scout out a place for us to live. And of all places in the world, he chose Staten Island, New York.
Staten Island, New York.
And in March of 1986, the rest of our family, my siblings and my mother, we joined my father in Staten Island. And after that point, we were just literally thrown into a school where we were the only Asian children. This is a very Irish, Italian, Catholic school. And we didn't know any English. And so
you knew no English?
No English whatsoever. So, but I was 8 years old. And so what was obviously really, really difficult kind of early on in sort of assimilating, getting to understand everything. But the benefit as being a kid is that you get to learn a lot through play.
Right.
I was a huge baseball fan growing up in Tokyo, and the rules are exactly the same.
Oh, yeah.
And so that's how I learned in the neighborhood, playing baseball with the kids and starting to kind of get assimilated to the American
There was
culture.
a time when my younger days, I was an umpire.
Got it.
So I umpired international baseball. So going to Japan and working in the Olympics and those types of things, it's kind of interesting to umpire with two Americans and two Japanese. We didn't speak the same language, but we went out there and did the job together. So that's something that really is a bond for everybody.
Sports is a common language around the world, and so that was really helpful.
Now, I don't know if you remember second grade. I don't know if I remember second grade, but it had to be kind of traumatic going. I mean, second graders are cruel.
Yeah.
And not being able to speak English.
Yes.
How'd that work out for you?
So obviously, I think I was really, really good at math, numbers.
Okay. Yeah.
But obviously struggled with concepts like reading and science and social studies, history, that type of stuff. But I started school in April, and then school ends in June. So like that first 3 months was incredibly difficult.
Right.
And then I had the summer vacation, and that was unbelievably helpful. You learn so much. Over the 2 to 3 months, and frankly, like at that level, it's not really complicated English, and so I think it's possible to learn enough to survive, so that when school started again in September, I was okay, which is the remarkable thing about children. I couldn't pull that off now, but you give some 6 months full immersion, you can actually do okay as an 8-year-old.
Now, you know what? When you were a kid, when you were in high school, you did not grow up dreaming that I wanted to work in cryptocurrency.
Correct.
Because it wasn't there yet, right?
Correct.
So what did you want to be when you were a little kid?
It's interesting. I mean, growing up, we were chatting about baseball earlier. Obviously, the kid is to become a Major League Baseball player.
Okay.
Love to do it. I played baseball throughout high school, everything. We won the New York City State Championships when I was a senior in high school.
Middle infielder?
I was a pitcher, second baseman, yes.
you look like a middle infielder.
Yes. And then I went to Georgetown for college. And
they don't have much of a baseball team.
They do. They're around, but they're certainly not a powerhouse.
Right.
And then back when I was in college, I think my dad was the one that said, "Hey, what do you want to do?" And I was like, I don't know. Georgetown sounds like a good school. And he said, "Hey, you have a knack for business. Go to the business school." Not having anything else better to do, I said, okay. So I chose kind of the business track, which led me to a career in Wall Street, investment banking, after I left Georgetown.
A career in investment banking.
Yes.
And at some point, you got the bug for the crypto space. Tell me about how that transition went from traditional, and there's a lot of traditional people that I've interviewed that still are not on board with crypto. Talk to me about how you made that transition.
So I joined Citigroup as investment banking in 2001.
Okay.
And I was there until early 2008. So I kind of witnessed the start of the financial crisis, right towards the end of my Citigroup career. And then after I left Citi, I met Barry Silbert, who is the founder CEO of Digital Currency Group. At the time, he was founder CEO of his predecessor company called Second Market, which was a marketplace to buy and sell illiquid financial assets.
Okay.
And so I joined Barry in the fall of 2008 into this, what was at the time trying to be like an eBay. Why couldn't illiquid financial assets find an auction, a buy-sell mechanism for price discovery, things like that? So many things that aren't stocks don't trade on an exchange. Right? How do you price options? How do you price convertibles and warrants? How do I price private company stock? How do you price all these types of things? And he wanted to create a marketplace to buy and sell those kinds of things. And so I joined, and obviously the financial crisis happens, the world is ending, and this company, Second Market, was incredibly well positioned to take advantage of asset prices becoming depressed and dislocated. And so I actually joined the fixed income bond trading desk of Second Market. Mortgage-backed securities, asset-backed securities, all the toxic assets that were sort of known at the time, we were trading those at Second Market. The company was most famous for trading pre-IPO shares of Facebook, LinkedIn, and Twitter.
Wow.
Why did you have to IPO for early investors and employees to be able to buy and sell the stock? So we created that business. And then in 2011, Barry discovered Bitcoin for himself.
But in 2011, and I'm trying to do the math in my head, 2011, Bitcoin was less than $100 and probably more the $20 to $30 range.
Absolutely.
So it really wasn't anything yet.
No, it wasn't. So Barry has always had a very bearish view of the world. In terms of, he kind of saw what the central banks kind of freely printing money, inflation events kind of happening around the world. It's like, this possibly can't be good, nor could it last. But when he found Bitcoin, I think he went through during 2012, he did the 6-month skeptic to believer to evangelist phase. He did kind of that during 2012. And then throughout 2012, he would not stop talking about Bitcoin in the office. He'd come in, we're doing something else, we're trading bonds over here, and all he wanted to talk about was Bitcoin. And we didn't know what it was. Back in 2012, a lot of the Bitcoin 101 type resources weren't available. And so we just be like, Barry, one day we just sat him down, I was like, look, you either teach us what is Bitcoin, or just shut up, stop talking about it, because we don't know what it is. And so he gave us the Bitcoin pitch, the story. We got into it, and then we actually opened up our Bitcoin trading desk in spring of 2013.
Now, how did that move into Genesis?
So Second Market, as I mentioned, had a number of different business lines. Some of them were shut down over time as the economy recovered and liquidity came back. We also sold that private company business to NASDAQ. When that sale happened, that was in 2015, the Second Market brand went in the transaction. So we had to come up with a rebrand. We all had to come up with new names for our business. And so Second Market became Genesis.
So Second Market became Genesis, and now Genesis' focus is in the crypto space?
We are. We are an over-the-counter trading firm.
An OTC trading firm. So for those that don't know, for the 101 course people, tell us what an OTC trading desk is.
So an OTC trading desk is unlike an exchange, which many people I'm sure are familiar with. They are mostly useful for larger transactions. high net worth individuals, hedge funds, family offices who are looking to accumulate $1 million, $5 million, $10 million of a currency typically find that price execution and transaction settlement is a lot easier working with an OTC desk than through an exchange.
And it's very quick too.
Most transactions are done in an hour, so yes.
So it's not like the banks and trying to settle in US dollars or
Correct.
Or Japanese yen. It's nothing like that.
It certainly is, and because we have institutional sellers and institutional buyers, the execution on the price is a lot better than you might get on an exchange.
Than you might get on exchange. Now, that's one part of what Genesis is doing right now, but the second part of what Genesis is doing is very, very interesting to me. So let's talk a little bit about your lending model as well.
So in March of last year, we started alongside our OTC trading desk, our lending business. And the lending business, the idea is there are lots of crypto holders who either are just keeping their coins in their wallet because they're buy and hold to maturity types. Wouldn't it be great if we could give them an incentive to lend their crypto to us,
right?
And we paid them back in-kind interest. So you lend us Bitcoin, Ether, Litecoin, we will agree to an interest rate, and start of every month we will pay you back in interest.
Okay, now is this the same type of thing like the banks that are holding all this money and they invest it overnight and then bring it back, or is this more of a long term?
So we have people that borrow in turn those same cryptocurrencies from us.
Right.
And the types of borrowers from us really kind of vary. There are sort of the trading firms that need cryptocurrency for trading. There are hedge funds who need to borrow cryptocurrency, again, for leverage purposes.
For leverage purposes.
And there are also Bitcoin cryptocurrency businesses that need a Bitcoin loan because Bitcoin is their working capital, not dollars.
Right.
It's actually a business loan to actually help them grow their business.
Well, for instance, I interviewed a gentleman that has Bitcoin ATM machines.
Yes.
And his biggest problem is, on both sides actually, getting enough Bitcoin to be in the machines all the time, and the time it takes to take that cash and get it back into the system and buy the Bitcoin. So that would be a case where they would lend or borrow from you.
Correct.
Okay. How safe is that, though? I mean, that's the question that the viewers are going to ask is, if I have, and let's just say 100 Bitcoin, and I lend it to you, and ballpark, what is the interest that I would make off of that?
Bitcoin is somewhere around 4% right now per year.
4% per year?
Yes.
So I have 100 Bitcoin, and I'm not going to do anything because I have a long-term outlook with it. I give it to you.
Yes.
You're going to pay me 4% a year.
Yes.
How safe is that?
So we're incredibly careful about who we work with on the lending side of the business. We announced a report yesterday morning where in the last 3 months we originated $870 million worth of loans.
Okay.
We've done over $3 billion since we started in March of
over
2000.
$3 billion with a B.
With a B. And we currently have, as of September 30th, this is now a month old, $450 million of loans outstanding.
Right.
Okay. Having said that, we only work with 50 counterparties. We only lend that to, so on average, we have $9 million out per counterparty. That's because we turn down 8 or 9 counterparties for every single one we do take. And we have collateral. We take collateral in terms of US dollars from the folks we lend to.
Okay.
And
so it is collateralized.
So if they default, we can take their collateral and then make whoever we borrowed from whole.
Now, talk to me about the future.
Yes.
Where is Genesis going from here?
I think the world is moving toward, so a part of what Genesis is doing, and some of this kind of harkens back from my old world, kind of in the investment banking world, where we believe that investors are going to come and expect the same types of products and services that they get in equities, fixed income, FX, and they'll expect that in crypto at some point.
Right.
OTC desks, block trading desks exist in the equities world today. The lending and borrowing also exists in the equities market. You can borrow to go short and things like that in equities. We're working on that. I think the next logical step for us is going to be trying to figure out the custody piece. How do we safely hold dollars and crypto for our customers? Once we have that piece, I think you have much more of a full-service brokerage platform.
Yeah, you know, and that brings up that question of if I, you know, right now, let's just take a look at the tax structure in the United States.
Yes.
So right now, if I have a Bitcoin, it's an investment and I don't pay tax on it.
Yep.
But if I turn it into cash,
Yes.
then that's a taxable event.
That's correct.
Okay, if I buy other coins, it's a taxable event. Is it a taxable event to lend it to you?
It is not. It has not been. So what the IRS has said is if I lend you securities, that's not a taxable event.
Okay.
Right? If I borrow to short, the stock lender is not, it's not a true sale.
But the
of
interest that
agreement.
you pay me is a taxable
Absolutely,
event.
that is taxed at ordinary income.
Okay, well that makes a lot of sense. That makes a lot of sense. So now there are companies out there that hold people's Bitcoin for them. Is that something that you're looking into doing?
We'll do it because right now on the trading side of the business, if you buy Bitcoin from me,
Yes.
I don't hold your Bitcoin. You give me the wire, I send you the Bitcoins to you.
Right.
Which actually forces the investor to set up their own wallet or custody solution.
Correct.
Oftentimes we get, hey, I want to buy it, but I don't want to hold it. Holding is the scary part.
Right.
That's where I get hacked and things like that. And so can I just give you the money, buy the Bitcoin, and can you hold it for me? So we're trying to figure out how to help facilitate.
How does help facilitate that? Well, Michael, it has truly been a pleasure to talk to you. Thank you so much for being here. And I hope you're having a great time here at World CryptoCon 2019.
Absolutely, thank you again.
Okay, I'm Dan Hunt at World CryptoCon 2019 from the Cosmopolitan Hotel in Las Vegas, Nevada, saying have a great rest of today and an even better day tomorrow.